career in doing things in the wrong order, and really wanted just to share a lot of it and what one learns, because I think the great thing is to learn from one's mistakes. I started life as a science graduate, and that was sort of grindingly hard work because everybody else was busy having a whale of a time, and I spent 16 hours a week in the Cambridge laboratories. I put that right after the first year and exited into law and really stumbled into tax practice and generally wealth management. In those days it was fairly easy. It was really not competitive. There were a number of reasons. One was we had a socialist paradise in those days. 83% tax rates, so people really weren't making much of an effort, they weren't working particularly hard, so it was relatively easy to get jobs which weren't that demanding. These days everything is in reverse, basically. We have, where to use Lord Denning quoted from Shakespeare, the envy of less happier lands. So we have a relatively low tax rates, people are hightailing as fast as they can out of the socialist paradise of France to work in London. So essentially now it's really, really hard to get jobs. So essentially the issues I was anxious to hit was career choice, leadership styles, and really what change means to the whole industry. So firstly, career choice. Essentially, the important thing is before you engage yourself in careers, and most of you look as if you're sort of fully engaged in careers, so this is really maybe for your kids. You want to try as many things as you possibly can to actually gain experience, so that a bit like marriage, you've tested out a number of partners, you don't have the risk and expense of changing horses in midstream, which can be quite catastrophically expensive and stressful, etc., etc. So change. The assumption always was that you start a career and everything remains the same, and this was so. A decade or two, then things were the same tax planning and so on. But the last couple of years, we moved into warp speed. So we have an alphabet soup of initiatives. If you like, you can start with the EU Savings Directive. That's ever morphs itself, and people are forced to fraud march into compliance. But that's a tenth of it. FATCA is really the new boy on the alphabet soup block, and mini FATCA and so on. So you have a massive purge towards transparency. So the idea of things can be hidden and nobody will ever know has gone the way of all things. Worse still, the old trusted faithful aggressive tax avoidance schemes again. This is now a heavy duty reputational issue for clients. So again, adjusting and adapting to change I see as a fundamental element. I think the last point I really want to move on to and go into some detail, my notes keep on being blown around, essentially is leadership style. In my 20s I had the benefit of going to somewhere with a sort of relatively unique leadership style, and that was the Soviet Union. And the question was, why didn't things work? And so the standard answers to why things didn't work was, they pretend to pay us and we pretend to work. So you have sort of catastrophic quality of goods. I went to Cuba back in the early 80s, and there was a bottling factory there, and they'd actually managed to have, at the end of the day, 50% destroyed as waste. So if you can't produce a bottle of beer or whatever it is, it's quite an achievement. And the Soviet Union actually, during its high point, had negative value added. So they take raw materials and they then make them into something less valuable. So what does one want to do, and how should one deal with it, really? I think Malcolm Gladwell has produced some amazing books, one of them called Blink. If you want to have a successful relationship with your spouse, if you want to have a successful relationship employer-employee, you want to have at least 3 to 5 times as many positive contributions as you do negative contributions. Otherwise, the relationship goes sour, essentially. Certainly, the happier people are, the better off your workforce are going to be. But it goes beyond that. My cardinal point, I think, is, in terms of having a successful career, is you really, really need to look to, although it's counterintuitive, to employ people who are much better than you. You don't need to employ them, but you need to continuously motivate them. So far as motivation is concerned, it's spending the time to have jokes, to encourage people, and so on. I'm addicted to reading Lucy Kellaway on a Monday, and she always makes me laugh. But she also has a lot of quite serious undertone, and one of the things is in terms of feedback. It's much better to give feedback when other people don't hear. So if somebody's done something well, if you congratulate them in the open room, Lucy Kellaway's view is research shows that it makes all the other people deeply resentful about this person being complimented and not them. But even more so, you should never slag somebody off in the presence of anybody else, because there's a terminal loss of face. And where people are unhappy, you get the sorts of things which happened in the Soviet Union. You get sabotage, you get poor quality work, and so on. So the central point is to never lose sight of the importance of encouraging juniors, spending the time, because it will pay dividends many times over. Really, that's my 5 minutes, and I've galloped through.
Thank you very much to Michael and to Paul, and I want to stay here for a few minutes to talk to you all, so please enjoy the canapes and the drinks.